All right, there we go.
Perfect. It's recording. Great.
There we go.
All right. So we're just going to go ahead and jump into the presentation. That way we can get going and we can get to everybody's favorite, the Q&A. All right. So we're really excited to have you all joining us tonight. We want to check in with everybody. Having to work from home, doing schoolwork from home. You may not like it, but it's something that we're used to, being entrepreneurs. So what are you guys doing to stay active right now? It's really hard. You know, you got to stick to something. Yeah. You can get really down if you just stay in one spot all day or stay in the house all day. So try to go out for walks. But here are some things that can help during the coronavirus. Nick has a 20+5 push-up challenge. Yeah. So you start with 20 and then every day you add 5 more. And I've been seeing his push-ups on Instagram and I'm not jealous one bit. And make sure you're doing a morning routine. The morning routine is journaling, reading, meditating, and just taking the time for yourself. And that will get you inspired to then finally get into your schoolwork, get into any other work that you may have while working at home. Go for a walk and get some fresh air. So what we're all here for, yep. COVID-19 and how is it affecting our economy? So the unemployment since COVID-19, millions of Americans have lost their jobs. We actually had to update this today because whenever I wrote this last week, it was 3.3 million. And today it was 6.6 million Americans have already filed initial jobless claims as of March 28th.
So that may be even higher now.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think that they probably do a week to week instead of a daily thing. But that's a record high. During the Great Recession peak of March of 2009 was 665,000. So if you can only imagine.
We're like 10 times worse as far as jobs.
And you can see, can you guys see the chart? Maybe I can, there we go.
There you go.
You guys can see the chart to the right where it kind of stays, you know, it goes up and down.
Well under 1 million, usually under 500,000, and then
it just spikes. It goes straight up. There was no way of like gradually going. It just went straight up. So with the recession of October of 1982, 695,000, and that was the Great Recession.
Well, no,
that wasn't the Great Depression.
It was really bad.
It was another bad recession. 695. So we've still projected. So this is what economists and everybody is projecting is going to happen. Hopefully it doesn't get this bad, but 47 million employment reductions, which then puts our unemployment rate at 32.1%. Wow. Hopefully this does not happen.
Which again, it's like 10 times, 10 times what it was like 3 months ago.
Absolutely terrifying. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but we have to prepare for the worst. The stock market. So we've all seen what's happened to the stock market. It just crashed. End of February, the stocks were reported largest 1-week decline since 2008. So we've been on this like uphill, we're going great, the economy is fantastic, and then all of a sudden it just crashed. Dropped again, experiencing its largest single day decline since 1987. And then as of March of 2020, global stocks have seen downturn of 25 to 30%. COVID has also affected our gas prices. You want to take this one on?
Yeah, it's a little more complicated. I'm sure you saw the low gas, which is it's fun. It's nice.
It's exciting.
It's exciting.
We saw gas as low as $1.09.
Yeah, which is great, but it's actually not great as far as like macroeconomics go. The reason for the drop is because OPEC fell apart and OPEC was the agreement between Russia and Saudi and all the other, or a few other oil producing countries in the Middle East. That dissolved, which completely destabilized um, crude oil prices and refined gas prices. Um, and that it's really dangerous because huge amounts of our economy are based on that the oil trade, and when they're in the middle of a price war right now, so everyone's trying to outcompete each other, and it's dropping the price. And no one in the gas industry is making any money. And if you think about it, if it gets too low and these companies go out of business or huge, I mean that is huge amounts of the GDP, the global GDP and our country's GDP. It's like giant portions that just basically vaporize. So it's good for the end consumer, but as an economy on the whole, it's giant portions of our gross domestic product that have vaporized. So it's very concerning, and it's actually part of the big reason that everyone's so worried about the economy at the moment.
So yeah, we've got to worry about the stock market and real estate and everybody's jobs, but there's also, stuff like the gas that a lot of people don't pay attention to. I never would have. But unfortunately, prices will continue to decline while the demand is low. I say unfortunately, we all enjoy it, but the end game. So what everybody wants to know about is the real estate market. The market is shifting. There are no open houses. Sellers don't really want to leave their house. So real estate agents are having to figure out how to navigate into this new idea of selling real estate without being there in person. Lenders, they've either pulled back completely because of the fear in the market, or they are swamped with SBA and emergency loans. And we are finding it hard to find lenders in this shift.
Yeah, so I gave 3 contracts to kind of one of my go-to banks, and I gave them to him about 3 weeks ago. Well, he told me just a few days ago that he can't get to it for probably another 30 to 60 days. Simply because they are so swamped with SBA and emergency loans right now. They can't even, he doesn't even feel good submitting anything else to their underwriters, who are basically working 20 hours a day at the moment.
Yeah, and we've had hard money lenders even tell us, nope, we're holding off. Yeah, and then a week later they call us and say, nope, we're back in the game. So it really is fear-based right now. We don't know where it's going, and that is really concerning people.
It's hard to make moves when you don't know what the playing field looks like, really.
So investors, some are pulling back and seeing what will happen, because again, we don't know what the ARV can be in 2 months. If the market's going to end up crashing like everybody's predicting, well, if you're buying a house at market price for $100,000, well, once the market crashes, how much is that house actually going to cost at the end? We don't know what that price drop is going to be, so a lot of investors are afraid to buy right now. Others are going all in.
It can make the BRRRR strategy very hard to do, because 6 months ago, if you bought a house for X number of dollars, you did X, Y, and Z to the house, you pretty much knew that it was going to be worth this, at the end, just because there were 5 other houses in the same neighborhood with the same repairs being done, selling or trading for the same prices. And now, I mean,
it's difficult to project.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore. I mean, maybe, but.
So then there are others that are still going all in. Warren Buffett said, whenever others are scared, or whenever others are greedy, you get scared. Whenever others are scared, you get greedy. So a lot of investors are going all in. We are trying to go all in, but being new investors, you can only go so far. And then we have yet to see a drop in the market price, which is astonishing. And the next slide, we have Zach Willoughby. P.S. Nick, Zach says hi. He's from Keller Williams. I actually work with him. He's another agent, friend of ours. And he did a little video that I'm going to share with you guys on what you guys can expect or what they are experiencing with the market shift currently.
For us as real estate agents, honestly, we're seeing clearly a decline in how many showings are happening. And this is largely because of perception. A lot of people are taking a pause on doing showings because they think the only way to do a showing is in person. And they think that real estate hasn't been deemed an essential industry, but it has. So honestly, a lot of the people who aren't doing showings right now, who are ready, willing, and able buyers, may be misinformed. And so that's kind of been part of our job, is to inform them. On the national level, we have been deemed an essential industry, and we have the letters to prove it. And that we can actually do this job thanks to technology in virtual ways until you need to get there and actually lay physical eyes on the property. We even have documents that have just rolled out for COVID-19 as far as Tennessee goes anyway. Georgia has a document as well, but we are adapting, and honestly, we're adapting pretty quickly. I'm seeing a slowing, of course, because we're in shelter in place, of people wanting to go out physically to properties, but I've noticed a sort of leveling out a little bit of how the showings were declining a little bit, but now it's like they've steadied, honestly. And I have my crystal ball is in the shop, so I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm optimistic because I can control me, and I know that I can reach out to people and see who's still looking to buy. And honestly, even if we do go through a massive shift that continues, it's a perfect time to know investors. No matter the market, there are going to be deals. No matter the market, there are going to be people who are ready to buy. It's just that the clientele may change. It may be more, and we're not to this point yet, but it may be more investors looking to scoop up properties, but still strongly a seller's market. We've seen a crazy amount of multiple offer situations, actually. So it's still really hot, still moving, still trucking. It's just we're adapting at this point.
All right, so Zach said the realtors are having to adapt because people are still buying. It's just people are having a harder time selling because of open houses, so they're having to do virtual open houses. Realtors now have a COVID-19 form that they have to have their buyers and sellers fill out. So everybody is adapting, and we're all trying to figure out what is coming next. So being proactive. Notice I didn't say reactive. If we are reactive, we're going to stay inside. We're not going to go out and do anything. We're not going to work from our computers. What are some things that we can do to be proactive? Reading articles, Bigger Pockets. Do you know any other articles, like platforms?
Bigger Pockets is a great resource, and you can find anything you need basically on those forums on there.
There's a ton of COVID ones right now too.
The reason I'm not going to say anything else because I don't really know. There's some really specific guys that I follow that are really into multifamily syndication, but that's not necessarily, it didn't necessarily pertain to maybe the scope of this club per se.
Yeah, so Bigger Pockets is a
great place to start.
You can also get onto YouTube. They've got a ton. People have been putting out so many videos about real estate and COVID. Listening to Real Estate Pockets. We highly recommend jumping onto Rich Dad Radio Show. Watch the episode, Are We Experiencing a Black Swan Event? The episode and everything that they talk about is terrifying.
Yeah.
But if you listen to it, you'll get a little bit of a better understanding of what's happening. And maybe you can find ways to be proactive that way instead of being worried and not knowing what to do next.
Yeah. Maybe another really great thing, lining up your private investors right now. Start forming those relationships. Oh, you have a whole slide about that? Okay.
We are still buying. We are going to keep buying. We're not going to stop. We have 4 properties under contract right now, and we are still looking for land for our new build. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So next,
there you go.
Keep daily contact with any private lenders that you have. We do this daily. We talk to our private lenders, we talk to our hard money lenders, and we talk to our bankers. With our private lenders, we are making sure that we're talking to them and letting them know like what we are doing in this time. Because if they hear that we're scared, well, then they're not going to lend their money to us. If we can talk them through what plan we have in place for their money, then they're going to just keep rolling it over.
Yep.
Is that all that you wanted to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't currently have a network of private lenders, or lenders of any kind, like right now is a great time to start doing that, because everyone is really scared right now, and it's going to be really hard. But if you start learning that aspect of it now, as soon as things smooth out a little bit, they will remember, oh yeah, you were talking about this. Okay. Yeah. All right. It'll make it a lot easier. So,
So then most importantly, stabilizing a strategy for the next 3 months. We have kind of done that. We haven't set like a month-to-month plan, but we know what we are going to be doing in the next 3 months. The reason why I say next 3 months, you can't plan a year out now. Like you have no idea what's going to happen. We don't even know if, kids are going to be able to go back to college in the fall. Like, sorry, but we don't know. I mean, we don't know what's happening or when this is going to stop or, so next 3 months, stay positive, make a plan, what you're going to do, and make it happen. So we have how we collected rent during this time. And I know this is kind of a little harder for all you guys, or not harder, but you guys don't own any property yet, but this is good for you guys to know for whenever you do, and if something like this happens again. So in the very beginning, when we got back from our trip, we were a little reactive. I should say I was more reactive. I was like, oh my gosh, we have to reach out to the tenants. We have tenants who work in the food industry. We need to know if they're going to lose their job. The problem with that is that we allowed them the excuse not to pay. By reaching out to them, we basically said, oh, hey, we know you're going to lose your job, but we're still here for you. It's okay. Like, let's talk about it. So then we turned it and we became proactive. We sent lists of places that were hiring for them to go and apply. We asked them if they'd filed for unemployment yet. And we also asked them if they filed for their 2019 taxes. The reason being is because if they haven't, then they can go ahead and file now and hopefully get a tax return back, and that'd be some extra cash for them. Then we turned around and let them know that even though this time is hard right now, rent is still due. We have an obligation to our banks that we have to make the payment. If they don't make their rent payment, we cannot make our payment, and therefore we lose the property and you lose your place that you live.
They'll lose their, so we really tried to help them understand that it's not, it's more of a result thing than us being a-holes thing. So it's like if we don't get paid, if we don't get any money, you lose your house, and you did it to yourself because you didn't pay anything.
Yeah, it was more of we're not trying to be greedy, but like we have to pay our bills. But we also let them know that the two tenants that came to us and said that they lost their job and they cannot pay rent, we told them rent is still due. However, we'll put we'll waive the late fee. You won't have to pay the late fee, but we need to know when you are paying and what you are paying. That way we can keep track and we can make sure that you're still paying. So we have one that is actually paying like in thirds. So then that way it's not too burdensome, but it's still getting it paid. Would we have changed the way we handled things? Maybe. I probably would have not have been so reactive in the beginning. I did like that we reached out to the tenants because it did let them know that we were there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that I allowed them the excuse not to pay. So that's really the only thing that I would have changed. A person's true character is often revealed in times of crisis or temptation. So make sure that you have what it takes to be your best in such times. And that's what we're really trying to do right now. We want to make sure our tenants know that we're not going to kick them out, but we are here for them, but they have to help us out too. So our 90-day game plan. Everybody is learning that they have to pivot. So we are doing our new build strategy, which is needed now more than ever. Going full force. Raising capital. We're talking to private banks and lines of credit. Trying to go after it, like as many investors as possible with capital. Nick's been really great at putting some people in front of us, which we are very thankful for.
Yep.
We're trying to find the right land. We think we found it.
Yep.
The contractors are doing the site plan on it now, which means that once they get the site plan back to us and we're good to go, we're going to offer and get the land under contract. The best part about this is the land is not on the market, so we don't have to worry about somebody coming in and snatching it up. And then we sent our layout to the architect to finalize, and we're moving forward on design. Next, we are still going to buy. We have 3 properties under contract, which is 5 units, and looking for lenders to close. 4th property under contract, wholesale or keep. We're constantly writing letters, and we are looking for cash flow. All right, I see that we have 9 minutes left, so we can go ahead and start the Q&A. So anybody have any questions?
I had a question.
Okay.
So I know the market crashed like near the end of the month, right? And some people live like paycheck to paycheck. And I was wondering if that would be good to give them like a grace period and like a certain number that they have to pay before you just like kick them out. Because I mean, there are people with like families who are renting houses and stuff like that. And I can see that being an ethical problem for me to like just kick them out. But like at the same time, you need the rent.
For sure.
Right.
For sure.
So we're actually not, we have 2 tenants. One of them has not paid yet. The other tenant has paid 1/3 of their rent. And he has let us know when he'll pay the 2nd, 3rd, and then when he'll be able to pay the last payment. So he's been keeping in really good contact with us. So we're not going to kick them out. We know that money's coming. We are not hurting. So we're not like, it has to be all or nothing. So they're fine. Our other tenant, she is, by herself. So she's got the rent payment all by herself. So it's a little harder. But she is in contact with us and letting us know when she can pay. But because of all of this, like, we're not going to kick anybody out.
Right.
It's not right for us to kick anybody out, especially if they lost their job because of it. Right. And a lot of jobs like Volkswagen, they closed their doors and told everybody that they had to quarantine for 2 weeks. So like, those were our tenants and they couldn't go get another job because they had to be in quarantine for 2 weeks so that they could come back to work. Yeah. So there was no way possible for them to go ahead and make that payment.
I think also it's important, like, you want to be compassionate. Yeah. But at the same time, I think it's really important in the landlord-tenant dynamic to just, make sure that it's still a business transaction and that it's still like an obligation, and so that they're not walking all over you. Like it's you have to balance that, like compassion and understanding and like business prerogatives.
So like my sister, she actually just figured out like a couple days ago she has to move. What would be like good decisions to make, like while moving and all this, like looking at homes and stuff like that?
Virtual.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering also.
Yeah, a lot of people and a lot of property managers are doing virtual tours. So is she looking to just move to another place that she's going to rent, or is she wanting to buy?
Yeah, they're just going to be renting.
Okay, yeah. So calling property managers and seeing if they have any virtual tours of places. If they're looking for an apartment, call the apartments and see if they have virtuals, and asking them what they are doing during the coronavirus right now, if they are even allowing people to move in.
I know like Tim Stone does a really cool virtual showing system for properties, and that would be ideal right now, to show a vacant property or a property for sale. So
thank you.
I had a question about the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac relief program.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you guys knew much about that. Is that tied to like how foreclosures are restricted right now, and like I don't know if evictions are restricted as well, but the foreclosures, you can't foreclose on a house, a bank can't foreclose on a house.
Correct.
Okay, so if you have a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac mortgage, they have suspended payments, which is really cool. But Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac only account for a little sliver of the actual mortgages that are out there, right? Well, I guess they have they have a lot of the like residential mortgages, but as far as the commercial mortgages, I mean, they're just a little sliver. And not all the banks are being quite as forgiving. I do know that courts are shut down, and no judge is going to follow through with an eviction at the moment. It's not possible. So like even if they haven't put a restrict on it yet. So like you can still do an eviction, but it's going to be a while. Yeah, it's not going to go through for a while because courts are not open and judges are not doing them. So yeah, that's really where the SBA emergency loans come into place. I actually applied for it, and it's if they deem that you are indeed in need of it, they'll just give you $10,000 to help cover mortgage payments and things like that.
So if you have a small business, try to apply.
try and get it. I can send you guys a link to it if any of you need it.
All right. So next question.
I have one. I believe that y'all said you were still looking to buy properties and like land with the help of Nick. And I was just wondering if y'all are like confident that you'll come out on the right side of this by like continued buying and like searching for properties.
So I am of the opinion that a good deal is a good deal in a good market or a bad market. It doesn't really matter. I mean, truth be told, I don't care what my property is worth at all. I just really care what I guess I care a little bit if I'm trying to do the BRRRR strategy, but if I'm holding on to it and I've already got a mortgage on my property, I could care less what it's worth, like what the value is, as long as it's making rent and it's not like producing income.
Yeah, so at this point, what we've done, because we were doing the BRRRR strategy, and we know that right now the BRRRR strategy may not be effective in 6 months for what we want to do. So what we've done is now it's, okay, well, our offer is this, rent covers it. I'm not going to try to refinance right now.
Yeah.
We just go straight for the bank loan, and our
We'll
rent
ride it-
our
ride
rent
it
covers
out.
it. Our rent covers the mortgage,
Yeah.
so we're making cash flow no matter what.
I'm gonna just try and ride it out till the
So we
values go
went
up.
from going from the burst strategy to now like
Just
buy and hold. And so our biggest thing that we ask anybody that we're buying property from is we need proof of job security and that they are actually making their payments on time. If they are doing that, then we'll buy the house all day.
Mhm.
We
Okay.
already offer below market price. We never buy on market price anyway.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
I have a question.
yeah.
Do you think that this whole situation will help realtors in the future expand their market with like online open houses?
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Oh
I
my
think
God.
so. I think everybody is going to learn the new way of doing things. They're going to learn that they can do more virtually online from home and then be able to spend more time with their family. And I think it's going to change a lot of that.
And even deeper than that, I really think that this will shift the way that we view like society as a whole. I sent Nick an article that I really agree with pretty strongly. I think it's going to change our cities and change the way that we operate our businesses and our day-to-day lives in a good way. I think it's going to be a positive change. But yeah, for sure. It's going to be.
Definitely. So I see that we have less than a minute left. If anybody has any other questions, send us a video question to our email or just type it up. And what we'll do is we'll answer it while we're driving for dollars. And then we'll post it onto our YouTube channel and we'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, of
Thank
course.
y'all. Have a good one.
Stay safe, everyone.
Yeah.
You as well.
We'll see you guys.
Have a good one.